So the first tool we're going to explore today is the width tool. It's right here. I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of see what that icon looks like. If you don't see any of the icons I talk about on the toolbar, make sure you go down to this little triple dot period kind of icon down here and go to Edit Toolbar. You'll be able to drag any of the tools available and really create your own custom toolbar however you'd like. So let's get started. I really love the width tool, very underestimated tool in my tool belt the last couple years. I've just recently started really mastering it and using it. It's really helped with my logo design workflow and doing some things and speeding some things up. So the key to the width tool is you can't really do it with solid objects. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a solid object. I grab my width tool. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot. It needs to kind of be a stroke or a line. So let's go ahead and create a stroke and a line. We're just going to grab our pen tool, create a very simple kind of horizontal line, kind of see this in action. So now I'm going to select my width tool and I'm going to be able to go here on any of these points, and I can create points and anchor points at any time. So there's one here on the end and one on the other end. So let's go ahead. I'm going to click and hold my mouse and drag. I'm going to be able to extend that shape out at that particular anchor point. And then I can also go down here and extend that one out even further. So you can see kind of the multitude of shapes you can create with this when it comes to logo development and design. So at any point I can click along here and create an additional anchor point. So I can click here, kind of drag, and I can kind of make that a curve. I can make it convex or a concave shape, and I can continue to make this more detailed. Click here and I can continue to make a lot of different shapes. You can even make an airplane, a bird. I mean, there's so many different symbols you can create with this and be pretty creative as possible. You can of course take your shape and flip it, go ahead and reflect this, or you can flip it horizontally. So I'm just going to go to Object, Transform, just going to rotate. I'm going to be doing that a lot in the class. Let's go ahead and rotate it by 90 degrees. And you can see how I've got like a little vase shape going on here. You can also change the end caps as well. I'm going to go down here to Stroke, and I'm just going to put a nice round cap on there. So that kind of rounded the caps of my line. So that you can see all these really interesting weird shapes you can create. But you can see how that can be powerful with doing symbols and different logo designs. So at any point, if I'm happy with a shape, right now it's just a line. It has not been, the object has not been expanded, or the path has not been outlined yet. So we're going to do that next. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select our line here, go to Object, Path. I'm just going to do a simple outline stroke. So I'm going to go Object, Path, Outline Stroke. It's going to go ahead and outline that object for me. So let's try that again, but let's do kind of a practical real-world object that we would need. I'm thinking I want to do a shield for a logo, so I need to get this really cool shield. But what's hard about doing a shield is it's got to be equal on the left and right side. It's got to be symmetrical on both sides, and sometimes that's hard to do when you just grab the pen tool and start to trace away. So let's try to do a shortcut and do the width tool and see if we can create a very quick shield icon. So let's go ahead and grab our pen tool, and we're going to just go an up and down vertical stroke. Just make sure we flip that to stroke. Grab my width tool and let's create a shield graphic. Let's make sure it's even, the top and the bottom. And let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and grab something in the middle. If you look at kind of the shield shape, it's going to be kind of in this direction. And right there, we already have kind of a shield shape developing. Of course, we can change I have the very top point here, and I'm just dragging down, kind of give it a little bit of a point. And we can add characteristics to this shield. We can, make it any shape we want to. If we don't like what we just did, a little shortcut, Command Z, go back in time. I'm going to be using that a lot throughout this class, little Command Z bit. And there I am. I have my little shield logo. I'm going to go to Path, and I'm going to outline the stroke. So Object, Path, Outline, Stroke. And there I go. I have a perfectly symmetrical object I'm able to do a shield with. So another thing you can do with the width tool is you can play around with anything that's a path or a stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and get the ellipse tool. I'm just going to hold down Shift and make a perfect circle. And I'm going to flip it to a stroke. And now I can grab the width tool, and I can be able to pull on any of these points to thicken the stroke around the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and drag. And you can see I can make kind of a neat logo symbol with this. You can have different weights and thickness all throughout the object here. So just right there kind of created a really interesting shape. Let's go ahead and try that with, you could do it with anything. You could do star, you could do a wavy line. So let's say I'm just going to grab the pen tool and just next and kind of adjust the curves of the line. Okay, and now that it's a stroke, I can grab my width tool and play as I want to. So you can see I can make like a really neat brush looking shape, an object, and you can go back and change the width of any point. So just like that. You can also create leaves really easily. I know a lot of logos have leaves required, especially if you're working with an organic brand. This is a really great way to create that. So just similar to what we did, we can just kind of make kind of a little bit of a curve here. Grab that width tool, and we're going to create a leaf. And just like that, we have a nice. For those that are already familiar with the curvature tool, great, you're one step ahead of the game. With this class, I do recommend you having a little bit of pen tool knowledge and you're kind of comfortable with creating things with the pen tool and kind of creating curves. But what's great about creating curves with the curvature tool is that's what it's meant for. It's a lot easier to create more rounded, circular shaped curves with the curvature tool than it is with just using the pen tool. So for an example, for a pen tool, I just want to create a circle. I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to try to do 45-degree angles. I'm going to try to get this circle to look good. Just clicking and holding just like you would with the pen tool. And then I'd have to go back with the direct selection tool and make a bunch of edits. And you can see how long that's taking me to create a nice, just smooth shape. So let's say I do it with just the curvature tool. I'm just going to go ahead and click here, click across the way, click up at the middle. I just have to kind of edit a little bit. But it's so much easier to make these kind of perfectly round shapes. And in logo design, it's incredibly important to be able to have accurate, nice, smooth curves. So I'm going to be using this tool a lot in the class. So just practice with that curvature tool. And as we start to work on logos throughout the class, you can kind of see how I utilize this tool. And I'll kind of stop and kind of mention that I do use the curvature tool a lot more than the pen tool in some cases to kind of get those nice, smoother, much more natural looking rounded edges. So the next tool we're going to go over is the offset path tool. And if you haven't really played around with offset path, you can kind of see its power here in a minute.